Good morning. Welcome back to Kids Life. I am Pastor Justin and I'm so glad that you are able to join me this morning. As you're able to tell from the intro, we are starting a brand new series all throughout this month. We're going to be looking at promises that God made. Promises made way back in the beginning of God's story are still true today. God is still at work and God's promises are still true. And so I'm excited to look at those all month long with you together as we come together in this way. And as you'll see a little bit later, we're going to invite some other people who will also be looking at God's promises with us. You'll see that later in our video today. But first, I want to ask you a question. What does paradise look like to you? What if we were to create a list of what paradise looked like? Right? Sometimes people have different ideas about what paradise looks like. I have some friends who really enjoy going on a cruise ship up to Alaska and seeing all the wildlife and the scenery there. I don't want to go see that. If I'm going to spend money and go on a vacation, I want to go somewhere warm and sunny. I'm going to make a list of the things that make paradise for me. So, if I was to think of it, a list, I would have sunshine. It's got to be sunny. I would love to also go somewhere where there is water. Do you like to play in the water? Maybe it's a river or a lake or the ocean. Somewhere where there's a beach, right? Somewhere to just sit and relax and enjoy the water. And what's in the water? Fish. I love to go snorkeling, where you can see all the fish that are under the water. You know what else I love is all the trees and flowers. To see what they're like in other parts of the world as I travel. Do you like all the trees and flowers that are out in your neighborhood? There's so much diversity, so much green. I like that there is a chance to relax in paradise. That I don't have to work very hard when I'm there. You know what else I really like about paradise? Food. Eating lots of good food. That all sounds like paradise to me. But the best part about all of it is to enjoy it with family. Maybe you're able to take a trip with your family as things are kind of opening up a little bit and as we're learning how to be safe in the world around us. Even though there's a germ bug going around, we can learn how to be safe together. And so my family, we have done a little bit of traveling. We're going to do a little bit more. But if I go and I enjoy all these things, I want to enjoy them with people. In the very beginning of God's story, we see in the book of Genesis, chapters 1 and 2, God creates everything. And you know what is included in God's creation? Sun, water, the beach, fish, trees, flowers, relaxation, food, and family. God created all of that in the beginning, and God said it was good. In fact, after God put people together in this paradise, God said it was very good. Isn't that great? That what we think of as paradise is everything that God made in the beginning. And when God put people in this paradise, God provided for them. God took care of all that they needed. But do you know what happened in the next chapter? Genesis 1 and 2, God creates paradise and God puts people in paradise and God provides for them and they enjoy being in paradise. But in Genesis chapter 3, a serpent comes in and starts talking to the people and tells them a lie that God has provided for them, but that God is holding something back. There's something more that God could provide for them, but that God isn't. That God is being selfish and wanting to hold something back out of paradise just for himself. And the people start to believe that lie. And so their paradise is no longer paradise. It becomes ruin. And now it takes work, and the people begin to have arguments and not get along. They notice that the plants and the animals die sometimes. And parts of the world are no longer paradise. But God made a promise. Even right after all of this, God continued to provide for the people. You see, it was a lie that God wouldn't provide for the people, that God wouldn't take care of them. And so God provided for the people, and he made a promise to them. God promised that he would fix what was broken. I want to share with you now a new segment that we're going to have in our Kids Life videos. There's a friend of mine named Callie. I want to introduce her to you now. So let's go ahead and let's meet Callie.
This is Callie, and this is... No, I have to do it again. I'm Callie Ferguson. Oh, it sounds like Burgerson. Who says their last name anyway? I'm Callie, and this is my first ever crazy vlog. A little about me. I'm 7 years old. A whole 7. Not like 6 going on 7. You know what? Let's do this another way. This is my room, guys, and this is my pet. Say hi. He doesn't say much. He's super shy. But you won't believe what my dad got me. I've waited forever for this, and it's finally here. Ah! Wait, what is this? Is this a joke? This can't be what I've waited like forever to get. Who is calling me now? Now is not the right time. It's my friend.
Hey, Callie. What are you up to today?
Hey, Dan, where are you? Dan is the coolest friend you'll see.
Me? Oh, I'm just at the beach. I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm kind of at the beach. What are you up to?
I started my most awesome vlog, but I had a little bump because what I was waiting for was broken.
Well, your story reminds me of a lot of a Bible story that I heard in the Bible. It's time for our Bible story. After God made the heavens and the earth, and plants and all of the animals and the light and everything we see, God made something amazing on the 6th day.
What's that?
God made humans.
Like you and me?
Yes, human beings. God made human beings to rule over the earth and sea and birds and all of the animals.
Even the insects on the ground?
For sure, even the insects on the ground. God created human beings in his own image. God created human beings, girls and boys both, to be a reflection of all the things God is made of.
But why don't we all look the same?
Because we all reflect a different part of God in our hearts and in our minds, in our bodies too. Every person that is here is made in God's image, and God told them to create more beautiful children just like God had created them. And they were to take care of the creation all around them, all of the wildlife and animals and even each other.
Amazing!
God also made sure everyone had food to eat, using the plants that have seeds and the fruit trees.
Like bananas and mangoes?
Exactly. But it didn't stop there. Although everything seemed extremely wonderful in the garden, there was one important thing that God told human beings not to do. God told Adam and Eve not to eat one kind of fruit on one super off-the-limits tree.
That seems simple enough.
You think so, but there was a serpent there that was an enemy against all of the good things God had made. The serpent was a clever animal, and though human beings could do everything but this one thing, the serpent caused the woman to wonder why and question what God really meant.
Oh no!
The serpent asked Eve, "Did God really say that?"
God did say it, it, right?
God sure did, but the serpent tricked her and made her think it was okay to do what God didn't want them to do. Now Eve was confused by what the serpent said, and she ate the fruit from the tree that was off limits. She then gave some to her husband, Adam. When the evening came and God came to visit them, they hid because they were afraid. God spoke to them and they came out and told him what they had done and how the serpent tricked them. God, of course, was very disappointed and made the serpent to now be worse than all of the animals ever created. The serpent now will crawl on its belly in the dust forever. Humans now would have to work for their food and feel pain in ways that they hadn't felt before. God made a perfect world that became broken, but it's like God said, I got this, and started to put all the pieces that were broken back together again. So I have a suggestion. Why don't you put all the pieces back together and put them in the box and send it back to where it came from, and they'll ship it back to you as good as new. All right? Try it.
I never thought about that. Maybe I could have my mom send it for me tomorrow. Later, Dan. Catch you next time. And what is this? A comment? This is a comment from Mary. Can God really fix everything that is broken? Well, in the Bible, He promised He would. I'm pretty sure He can. My mom says to pray about everything. And since God is loving and cares about us, He can take care of us too. I have to run, besties, but catch you next time.
All right. Did you enjoy meeting Callie? I hope so. She's going to join us and help us look at God's promises all month long. It is great to be reminded that God is going to fix what was broken. That's a promise that God made. And it was good that Callie had her friend Dan to help her out, and her mom was going to help her figure out how to fix the problem that she had. The new item that was broken was going to get fixed. And that God is at work to fix our paradise. So just like our paradise was broken apart by believing in a lie, God can come along and fix it. God can begin to put it back together again. So I'm going to work on taping my list back together to fix it. But while I do this, I want you to go ahead and meet two more people. Now, if you joined us for VBS, our virtual Bible school, a couple of weeks ago, you met Carl and Cassie. Now, Carl and Cassie were part of the Mission Deep Sea, and they have come back. They're going to be a part of our gathering here on Kids Life. So this is a new segment that I want to introduce to you called Grow TV. I'm going to work on this, and you go ahead and hang out with Carl and Cassie on Grow TV.
Hi there, you chicken nuggets. It's me, Carl.
And I'm Eduardo.
And welcome to Grow TV.
Welcome. I'm very excited you're here.
He said it.
Welcome to Grow TV. Introducing your host, Carl. And your co-host, Cassie. Where we learn, where we grow, and we talk about Jesus. Once again, welcome to Grow TV.
Hello, everybody. So glad you could be here. And boy, do I have a surprise for you. I want you to meet someone who is very special to me. I was walking through the park one day, and in the middle of the sidewalk, there was this beautiful egg. I was stunned. I didn't know what to do. But what I did know was that if he stayed on that sidewalk, he would get hurt. So I took him home. So I present to you, Eduardo. Say hello, Eduardo. He's shy. What's that? Oh, stop. They're gonna love you. He's a little shy. Don't worry, Eduardo. There's no reason to be shy.
Carl,
Hey, Cassie.
are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. Why do you ask?
Really? I mean, you're talking to an egg.
Oh, Cass. Not just any old egg. This is Eduardo.
Eduardo?
Yes, ma'am. He's the cutest little egg in the world. Not only is a 1 in a million egg, He's a 1 in a dozen.
Okay. Did you give him that name?
Sure did. Thought of it myself. You like it?
Sure. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, it wasn't my first choice. You want to hear the other names I thought of?
Not really.
Great! So at first I thought of Shelly because of the shell. Then I thought that wasn't strong enough of a name. Then I thought of Yoko. Scarlett Yoke Hamilton, Thomas Eggison, Egna, Yokelanda, Lil Yoki, Edgar Allan Poe, Egg Sharon, Egg Xavier, and Greg.
Greg?
Yeah, like egg.
Nice. So what now? Are you guys like best friends now?
We are. When we found each other, just linked. Like two childhood friends who knew each other since childhood.
Not gonna lie, that's a little weird.
Cassie, you wouldn't understand. It's an egg thing.
I guess.
You should have seen me. We were playing catch just like the old days.
What old days?
Back when I used to play baseball.
You never played baseball.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Carl, take a deep breath.
Eduardo!
Carl, it's okay.
It's not okay! Eduardo! I dropped him! I'm a terrible person!
Carl, you're not a terrible person.
Yes, I am.
No way. You're nice, you're funny, and you make videos that crack people up all the time.
I do?
Yeah.
I make people crack up all the time?
Oh, I didn't
Just
mean...
like how it cracked Eduardo!
Listen, Carl, I think we should talk about this week's story.
What's the point?
Well, I think it'll make you feel better.
Really?
Really. Remember the beginning of the Bible where God created the universe?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was awesome and perfect.
It was, and on the 6th day of creation, God created the first 2 humans ever, Adam and Eve.
And they were pretty perfect too.
They were. It was all created the way God wanted it to be, but something bad happened.
Oh no.
There was a bad snake that lied to Adam and Eve. And after God had made everything, the Bible talks about a serpent talking to Adam and Eve.
A serpent? Like a snake? Why would they talk to a snake?
It's hard to say, but the serpent was very clever. You see, snakes represented the presence of evil or chaos in the world, and that's what the serpent wanted. He wanted Adam and Eve to doubt themselves and want something else, something they knew God didn't want for them. So they listened to the serpent, which no longer made them perfect as God created them.
That's horrible. This is a sad story.
Sure was, but later, in Genesis chapter 3, God made a promise.
What promise did God make?
God promised that even though people are no longer perfect, God's ways would always be, and that God could make what was broken whole again.
So God promised to fix what was broken?
Yep. And you want to know some good news?
I would love some good news.
You just said our big idea. Today's big idea is God promised to fix what was broken.
That's right. On the count of 100. No, 3. We're all going to say it together. Ready? 1,
2,
3. God promised to fix what is broken. Woohoo! All right. Good job, everyone. Yeah.
So how are you feeling now, Carl?
Better. It hurts seeing something that I love broken, but it's cool to know that God can fix things that are broken. Plus, having an egg as a best friend can be really tough.
I guess you could say it isn't all that it's cracked up to be. See you next week, kids.
Thank you for watching, and tune in next week for a new episode of Bro TV.
All right. I got my list tape back together. Did you enjoy hanging out with Carl and Cassie? I bet that was a lot of fun. They're going to be joining us every week, so we'll be able to check them out and have fun with the ways that they help us look at our big idea that God promises to fix what was broken. The whole arc of God's story is that God is bringing us back to paradise. The way that God's story ends in the end of the book of Revelation, it paints a picture of paradise restored and people back together with trees and animals and God, and that we won't have to believe the lie that God is holding back from us in some way. So God is at work keeping his promises to us and restoring back to us a sense of paradise. I want to read to you a couple of verses out of Psalm 145, verses 8 through 9. This is written by King David, and he's talking and singing about God and how great God is. And he says this: "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made." That God continues to provide for people is amazing. Even when Adam and Eve bought into the lie from the serpent that God wasn't going to provide for them, God continued to provide for them. God continues to provide for you and for me and for our families. There's one more verse I want to share with you. It's our memory verse for this month. So all throughout the month of August, we're going to be working on memorizing this truth found in Joshua. Do you remember who Joshua was? Joshua was one of the leaders of Israel right after Moses was done leading the people of Israel. Then Joshua was the one who was leading the people of Israel. And in the book of Joshua, we find this in chapter 21, verse 45. "Not one of all the Lord's good promises to the house of Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled." Joshua 21:45. Let's say it together. "Not one of all the Lord's good promises to the house of Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled." That is good news. That God's promises to the people of Israel and to all people who trust in God are going to be fulfilled. They're going to come true. And God promises to restore us back to paradise, and God promises to fix what is broken. Sometimes there's things that are broken in our lives that we can trust that God is at work to fix them. Let's go ahead and pray together, and then we'll be able to go back to your day and enjoy the rest of your day, trusting that God is going to fix what is broken. Let's pray together. Dear God, we thank you that we can gather together today. We thank you that we can look at your story and see that you made everything to be a paradise. We're sorry that the first humans messed that up, and we're sorry that we participate in messing that up when we sin. That creates a problem in paradise. But God, we thank you that that wasn't the end of the story, that you continued to provide for Adam and Eve, and you continue to provide for us when we mess up paradise too. That you promise to fix what is broken, and you promise to restore us to paradise with you one day. So God, right now, we just give to you what is broken in our lives. We give to you our broken hearts, the things that make us sad. We give to you any of our owies, our brokenness in our bodies. Maybe we're feeling sick, or maybe we have owies, and we trust that you can heal those, that you can fix those. And God, we ask that you would fix what is broken in our world, that you would help continue to protect people from the germ bug that's out there, that you would help people to get along and work together for the good of our neighborhoods. And God, we just ask that you would do all of this because of your Son, Jesus, who is our Emmanuel, God who is with us. Amen. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed our time together today. And I hope I get to see you again next week right here on Kids Life. But until then, keep eating your vegetables, keep your room clean, and keep pointing to Jesus. Bye, friends.